We've opened the door. The pizza delivery man has delivered the box. It has time and space folded gently into it inside a calzone. And now that we open this calzone, we are presented with the awesomeness, the omnipotent, the immortal, the omnipresent, a whole bunch of other omni words. Yeah, we're joined with Dr. Marsh. How are you doing?
Greetings, mortals. I am good, and Chewer Calzone is a delicious, delicious pizza topping.
Chew a calzone?
Chewer Calzone tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. Sweet.
Tastes like chicken.
Well, I will let you know that we have sacrificed in order to bring you here, which is kind of a prerequisite to have you on the show. We need to sacrifice something.
It is in my contract. It's part of my pro rata. Chewers must be sacrificed.
Chewers must be sacrificed. I may have to actually make a recording now of the chewer that I have named Special, who looks pretty darn special, pink and everything, absolutely awesome. Dying just to summon you. I may have to do this.
I like this idea. This will give me great pleasure.
Fair enough. Well, let's start off by simply stating we missed last week. We know we did. It was because of the unveiling that occurred with the NDA lift, which basically allowed for our use reporter, Aiko, to stream Wildstar at level 50, doing, I believe, veterans and some other things. So, here's the deal. We missed a week. And leave it to Blizzard to use that week to prove your psychic omnipotentness, you immortal thing, you.
Was 100% right, but it was pretty close.
Yes, you were. The thing is, for those of you who missed the episode, do go back to YouTube and watch it. But Marsh makes a prediction, a couple, and holy cow, was Marsh right. So, what we're going to do is we're not going to quite dig into the hunters yet, because what we have in front of us is a beta patch. And the beta patch that was predicted by Marsh, which included a nerfing of Tinkmaster Overspark. Because you totally called that.
The hamster. They finally decide to feed the hamster that feeds pellets to all the designers in Hearthstone. And they concluded that, okay, it's polished enough to go into release, even though I think it's slightly debatable. Anyway, they got their pellets, they were happy, they pressed the big red button. Beta patch came out, and all of a sudden, free Hearthstone for everybody.
I have no problem with this.
I have a slight problem with it. I feel as though beta gives you that sort of just the word beta in front of anything gives you that sort of that area to sort of screw around with things that aren't quite working yet, like the rank system, for instance. I had my little rage about that last week.
Well, they do talk about the rank system inside the beta patch, which we will be going into.
Yes, they did, but it just gives them a little bit of extra time to make sure that stuff is perfect. Like, a lot of the talk recently on the Wildstar show has been on Cosmotronic, has been about, release and how close are we to release, and is the game polished enough to be released, and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. And even though Hearthstone's a free game, and it comes from Blizzard, someone who's a producer that's widely known for not releasing anything until it's crystal clear, they produce non-occluded diamonds at Blizzard.
Yeah, they do.
And this seems a little bit out of the ordinary for them to put it into live, as you'd say, at this point.
Maybe the secret behind why they've made this decision actually stems from the fact that TCGs are notoriously having the rules rewritten for cards. And yeah. I don't know. Maybe they wanted to coincide it with the Game Developers Conference. God, I wish I could go. But that's a whole different story. But you're right. I mean, we do talk about it on the Cosmotronic. We have also discussed about it in for beta or worse, one of our episodes from our Monday show about the right way to use betas. I wonder if in this particular case, they're going to constantly evolve how they do the ranking system, or whether they leaving the ranking system the way they are for a particular reason. But we'll
I
get
think
into
a fundamental change. Yeah.
We'll be getting into this for certain. What I do simply, though, want to state before we go too far is you are terrifying in your ability to predict what was going to happen.
Hey, that's right. We were talking about me being awesome, weren't we? Generally, I'm good at staying on topic when we talk about me being awesome.
How could we forget?
Last time I did have a bitch and moan about proxy cards and how I wasn't going to buy Tinkmaster Overspark, or I wasn't going to make him because he costs some sort of absorbent amount of dust to create, and I was 99% certain that in the next beta patch he was going to get nerfed to the ground, and I was also pretty certain that that beta patch was coming within the next week or so. So, I think I was about... Normally my predictions, I do 8 hours before Blizzard announces them, and because time zone magic, you see them like 2 hours after the Blizzard production team tells everyone about them. But this time I was right. I was a week ahead.
You were.
The crystal ball is getting clearer. It was amazing.
It's just all the chews we sacrifice in your honor.
That's it. I need to buy a cape with stars on it and call myself like Madame Ocarine or something.
What?
Steer into my crystal ball.
I know, but why Madame Ock? I just let's move into the beta notes or the patch notes.
Let's move on, should we?
Madame Macarena, because now I'm all like do. You know, the Macarena.
Macarena.
It's not my fault. You did it to me. It's your
Okay.
omnipotentness.
I blame
Anyway.
the Spice Girls.
You blame the Spice Girls. Anyway, this particular patch is known as All That Glitters. Now, like you said, it's... I kind of find it funny that they used basically the image of Tinkmaster Overspark as their banner image for this. So,
yeah.
that to me was just sort of a smack in the face to the players. But yes, so they've done some changes. One of the things they discussed were the ranked play rewards and changes. So, your thoughts, if you can sum it up, the rank changes, the rewards. I mean, you get different back colored cards. Does that, I mean...
No, not really. I want to start by saying whoever is the residing linguist that gets to name these beta patches, maybe they should actually look into the origins of certain phrases before they release it on their patch, maybe. All That Glitters is not gold, is the origin. Not All That Glitters is gold.
Yeah,
so in the context,
true.
You're basically saying that the patch is shite. That's where this comes from.
And there is a bleep.
Shite is not a bad word.
It's a word that I have to bleep. Oh, it's okay though. You're allowed it. That's, you know, it's the first time. I have to admit, I was the first one to screw up on MMOBuff.
We created the bleep just for you.
It was literally created just for me because of how I phrased the WTF folder.
I remember that. That doesn't have a bleep.
Yes, it does.
In the post-record, it doesn't have a bleep.
Yes, it does.
I remember you going, what the fuck folder?
Damn it! I know I've got more to bleep. Yeah, Anyway, moving on, swiftly crashing forward.
Swiftly crashing forward. Okay.
So yes, basically what they've done is
people...
they've made a bad connotation. Some people are thinking that it's actually All That Glitters is gold. The reality is it's All That Glitters is not gold.
Yeah. Origins, for those that are wondering, it's part of a Shakespeare thing, To Gild Refined Gold. It's the same one that it comes from, To Gild Refined Gold, Paint the Lily. Anyway, moving on.
Gilded Lilies. Oh, yes.
To sum it up, it's called All That Glitters is Gold because I'm assuming the main point of the patch was the golden character things. And I think the way they've done it is stupid. Actually, that's not true. The way they've done it is great from a marketing standpoint, but I feel as though the original intention was that you get your gold hero portrait at level 60 with any particular class. On beta, that was what they were originally intended. You reach level 60 with the class, your main goal at that point, at level 50 or whatever, is you basically get nothing until you hit 60, at which point you get your gold portrait. And I feel that was better because it doesn't force people to play ranked. Like 500 ranked games with any character isn't a small number. That's a lot of games. And considering if you do play a higher level of ranked, you're not constantly playing the one deck. You're playing the meta game, so you can be playing whatever deck you want. Well, not whatever deck you want, but whatever deck is most powerful at that situation at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not always playing a druid, or you're not always playing a shaman. So it takes even longer to get there. I feel that rank 60 was a lot better for this, simply due to the fact that there are some people that never stop playing casual. There are some people that never stop playing arena. Lots of people never actually bother to step into ranked. So these people are being disadvantaged because they choose to put this in ranked. I feel it was a lot better. Like, there's plenty of things that you can put in ranked that only ranked people can get. But I think something like this is something that should have been linked to your character's level like they originally intended. I think that was a more elegant solution.
Is it based on just 500 over a lifespan or 500 within one season?
They don't say. I'm going to assume it's 500 at any point. But that being said, we won't know until the season's up. I'm going to assume for now that it's 500 over the period of your account.
Okay.
But that's happy
We'll see
thinking.
if you're predicting again, Madam Ocarina. Hey, Ocarina.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
So they bring card backs in, you know?
Yeah. Card backs, I think card backs are a better
They're
way
bringing
of
cards
play.
back. Hey. Okay, I'll get me coat.
Yeah. Unless you can get a gif of Mizba twerking, that has no place in this cast.
I will see if I can get a video of Mizba twerking and put it in just at that moment. I probably can't, but I'll try.
No, probably can't. No. I hope you can't.
Of
all the things I know you're capable of a lot of things, Pseudo, but I hope it is beyond your reach to get a gif of Mizba twerking. Moving on. I feel as though rank backs are a lot better, like card backs are a lot better way of letting people personalize their decks, personalize their experience, and express themselves. Because you can reward backs, like card backings, for just about anything. You can reward someone over card backing for winning 100 ranked games. You could win just as well as you could reward someone for winning 100 custom games or 100 AI games.
Right.
But you can give them, because they're not something that, while I'm sure some of them will be very sought after because of how unique or how limited they are, they're achievable to everyone, and they don't. Well, while gold portraits don't make a huge difference, you can only get one of them. Your character can only be gold once, where you can get a multiple of different card backs.
Right. And I can tell you right now that if I go up against somebody who has a gold, portrait, I'll probably just concede. Until I have finished all of the training and I get to graduate from, juvenile to novice in your eyes, I won't attempt it. But
so many hours left to go.
I know, so much training. Right. Balance changes. Here we go. Here it is.
Yeah, we up to balance already.
Well, they make some more mentions about the bonuses they're giving for the arena and stuff, but instead of hitting everything line by line, I think we'll just swiftly move into the card balance changes.
Okay.
So, Tankmaster Overspark got a little bit of a nerf. Tankmaster Overspark went from a 3/2 that transforms a minion into a 5/5 Devil's Store or a 1/1 Squirrel at random. 2, a 3/3/3 transforms another minion into a 5/5 Devil's Sword or a 1/1 Squirrel. Doesn't look like much of a change.
Captain Overspark got nerfed into the ground. Nerf. Chuck Norris was wielding the hammer. It is bad. Don't play this anymore. Stop it. Bad, mister. Okay, so my reasoning is behind this. Sure, he got a bit of a power and toughness buff. That's great. He is now a 3/3 for 3.
And you can pick. You can pick whether you're going to make a Devil's Sword or a Squirrel.
Yeah.
So.
Can you? I don't know. I haven't played with him yet.
Well, it just says, transform another random minion. It's basically looks the same. It just looks like all they did was put a 3/3. It's from a 2/2.
Wrong. So previous version you could target. This new version you cannot.
You could actually target with the previous version, even with the way that it had
the original. The original version says transform a minion, which means target a minion, and it either becomes a 5/5 or a 1/1. The new version says transform another random minion into a 5/5 or a 1/1. So it picks out of everything on the board except for Tank Master, it will pick something and then turn. It's 2 instances of randomness. So
okay,
he becomes so random.
I stress to everyone, read the text carefully, because I totally missed that.
Yeah. He there was really good reasons behind this. It took people a while to catch on to the fact that he was really good, but once they did, he was in every deck because he was just such an efficient form of removal. He was a silence at worst and a pseudo removal at best.
Yay, removing people with me.
Just, drop pseudo on people. Die! Anyway.
So basically, I'm trying so hard to keep us going on track because you and we can so take a train to Nowhereville. I'm failing.
Train to Crazy Town.
Choo choo.
That's it.
Right.
Okay.
And that one line from them says it all right there. Tank Master should still show up in certain types of decks, but will no longer be appearing in every high level deck. Now here's the thing. What types of decks would you use this new one? I mean, aggro, combo, mage, hunter.
I'm sure something will turn up that uses it. And it'll probably be something that focuses on making a bunch of 1/1s, so that way when you do drop him, he's either amazing for you or negligible. But that being said, the way he works, I don't see him ending up in high-level decks ever again. Until unless he goes down to like a 2/2 for 1 mana or something like that.
I would like to see him in a Murloc deck.
Why?
I don't know. I just would.
Okay. Sure, put him in Murloc.
We're talking about Pseudo here. I mean, what does Pseudo
do?
do? Pseudo does the unexpected. But yes. Now, this was interesting to me. Nat Pagle. Nat Pagle changed.
Yeah, Nat Pagle, this is, I don't, it's a nerf, I'll give him that. It actually has to survive a turn to get you your 50% chance of drawing a card. But that being said, you never really, there was only 2 instances you dropped Nat Pagle, and that was either really early on, where he takes 2 cards to die.
Get rid of anyway.
And this hasn't changed. He still takes 2 cards to kill, so the 50% nerf doesn't, like the timing of when you draw it, doesn't really affect it. And the other time you did it was late game, when you could guarantee to protect him for 2 or 3 or
The
4 turns, so he could
sorry.
have a chance to draw you lots and lots of cards. So the timing of it doesn't, it hasn't, while it has changed it slightly, you don't get your card immediately, your first card immediately, it hasn't changed the value of the card somewhat. It will still get played. I think we'll still see a high level of play, but the way in which it's used will probably be changed. You won't see it as early anymore, I don't think, but I think you still will see it. I think this is a very good change to something that was a problem.
That's the thing. I didn't realize that it was a problem. I just thought it was kind of cool. But I guess for the value, I mean, it is just a 2-mana card. So for the value, it is kind of a holy cow. When we were talking about card values, when we were talking about card values, this thing has like skyrocketing card value to me compared to say Vanilla Bear.
This card is all value all the time in its original form. And while in its new form, it's still all value all the time. The value comes at a different stage of the game, which really changes the effectiveness of the card.
So even minor tweaks can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's strange to look at it, and instead of saying they've changed one word. The entire change to this card is one word. They've changed at the end of your turn to at the start of your turn. That's the only thing. End has changed to start. That's the only change on this card, and it has completely changed how this card will work.
Jeez. That's kind of crazy how that all works out, but that is the beauty of card games.
Indeed. But to summarize, you'll still see him. He's still just as good, he just works differently.
Got you. Next, they apparently seem that all of the changes from here on out are deemed necessary, like the ones above weren't. It's kind of interesting how they phrase this. We could be reading too much into it, but as was pointed out earlier by the great linguist,
Well, no, this is because it is a live patch now. So they're not going to be tinkering with cards anymore unless it is 100% necessary. Because, as we've discussed before, tinkering with one card can completely shift the metagame.
This is the sad part about it.
The Team Master has shifted the metagame.
See, this is the thing. The way they have phrased this, when I first read through it, made me think everything else below it was deemed necessary. It was just the phraseology, the way it was laid out on the page. It could be the fact that I'm recovering from fevers, but that's the way it came.
I can see how you drew that. Yeah,
that's just the thing. I mean, that's just me.
They could have been a little bit more articulate in their explanation. Yeah,
that's the editor in me from MMO Buff going, this reads weird. One of my favorite phrases. This reads oddly.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
This reads oddly. But yes. So they've got a reconnect feature coming in.
Woohoo.
You can now
Yep.
play across the realms, which means Marsh and I will be fighting each other soon. Live.
No, I will be destroying you at some point. I will be crushing you behind my omnipotent boot. There will be bloodshed, and it will be yours. This is how this will work. You have no choice in the matter.
There we go. Marsh being psychic. But we'll be able to discuss what went wrong, why, and all that other stuff. So basically, you get to learn from my juvenile mistakes.
That's how this is going to work.
Yes.
If you ever win at any point, you will get a gold star.
I like gold stars.
This is how you're going to get to go to the This is how you're going to get to go to the zoo. You're going to get everyone. It's going to effectively how this is going to end up is everyone at MMOBuff.TV versus me. That's how this is going to work. There's going to be like a Moodle or like a Google Docs or something, where everyone's contributing to Pseudo's deck and how she should play it, and then there'll just be me.
I just want to be good enough to beat Mizpah.
Oh, that's not hard. We can do that. You're probably good enough to beat him now. Remember, I used to coach Mizpah.
I love how much faith you put in me. It's brilliant. Okay. So they fixed a whole bunch of stuff, which is great. But yeah, There's not much over to it besides just some simple bug things. It's just the key things are those two cards, really.
Well, there's a little bit more that is important when you read through the actual alliterated patch notes. And to start with, ranked play. So at the end of every season, you no longer default back to Angry Chicken rank, which is rank 1. You will now get a rank that reflects how well you did in the previous season. So you might get a bonus star for every rank you achieved in the last season, is the example I got. So instead of starting at Angry Chicken, you might start, I don't know, Leopard Gnome or something. So that's important. It doesn't resolve any of the concerns I have with ranked right now.
We'll be going
it's
into your concerns. We'll go into your concerns after this, most definitely.
Next is Arena. This is amazing. I like this change because I play a lot of Arena. At 10 and 11 and 12 wins, if you receive a golden card in your 5 rewards, you no longer get a common non-golden card. So occasionally you'd hit 12 wins and you get pack, 350 gold, 300 gold, and then like a Leopard Gnome. Wouldn't even be golden, just be a Leopard Gnome.
So basically, I'm going to be playing against you and your gold deck. I'm going to be shooting for those gold stars by trying to destroy your gold cards.
No. It wasn't even golden. It was just a Leopard Gnome.
I know. What I'm saying is you are happy with this because you will go play Arena.
No, I'm happy with this. Yeah.
You will get your gold cards, and I will have to defeat the Marsh's golden deck of doom in order to
say that,
get
but
to the zoo.
All the gold cards I have are like trash, and I never play any of them because I don't like how the gold thing works.
Well, now it's changing.
Yeah. So there's only a couple of little extra things now. Is that if a minion has Taunt and Stealth together, you can actually tell which one is going to take effect. So it's Stealth over Taunt, by the way, for those of you who do not know. And the last thing I believe is the AI went to Marine training. Oh no, there's one more. One more that's actually really, really important for any Paladin players. And it's also kind of important for other people, is that secrets can now only be activated on your opponent's turn. So mostly this is only... actually, I think every class, for Hunters, Mages, and Paladins, it's worth taking notice. And that's... let's say, for example, Paladin used to be able to use... whenever a creature dies, it comes back in play with 1 health. Alright, so you can no longer use that on your own turn. So you can no longer play or have a creature, play a creature with charge, kill something, have your charge creature die, come back into play with 1 health, and then charge again. You can't do that anymore because your secret can't be activated on your own turn.
Has that actually been a part of the metagame?
Yeah, that used to be part of the Paladin Rush deck.
That is just kind of crazy. I would never have considered something like that. But then again, this is why you're the meta and I'm the juvie.
That's it. I don't know, something like Misdirection. You can't play Misdirection, attack with a weapon, and then have the damage that was supposed to be dealt to you misdirected to someone else anymore. That doesn't work.
Interesting.
So there's lots of things like that that you can't, that interactions you can't do anymore, and they did that to stop certain interactions so they could make more complex and more interesting secret cards later down the road. But I think it's more complex and more interesting to have the availability to use something on your own turn. It allows the players to derive more interesting interactions just through their own experiences.
Well, yeah, I mean, I look at it this way. You start off with, if you're a noob, like me, juvie, sorry, is what we're using for this, and I'm a juvenile. If I look at it from a juvenile's perspective, I'm introduced to damaging myself through the Warlock deck. Because that's their hero ability. You damage yourself, and then you can get some stuff. You draw a card, which is actually pretty OP.
Really?
It's really, really, really OP. 2 mana for a draw card, an extra card, and yeah. But you're introduced to these thoughts, and it's kind of mind-boggling. And then all of a sudden, you find out that people are using like these spells and attacking themselves to trigger secrets.
Yeah.
It's like, who would have thought of that? Oh, obviously the meta players, but those of us who are starting out, I would have. That's the thing. I never would have thought attack myself.
But the thing is, a lot of that stuff comes out of limited, out of stuff like Arena, where you get put into strange situations where you'd never think of, and you go, oh yeah, that works. I should try that in Constructed. Right? These little things, a lot of those little interactions happen in Arena to start with, and then someone decides to cross-pollinate with Constructed, and then it pops up in Constructed, and then it gets some steam, and then everyone starts using it. So I think they're slicing off their arm at this point. They're going, well, this is something that could be really cool, but for the sake of ease of use, we're going to completely get rid of it. I don't like it. I don't even come close to liking it.
So it seems to be, I got a paper cut off my arm.
Yeah, basically. That's how they're doing this. This is their coping mechanism. A
sledgehammer instead of using a scalpel.
Yeah. That's how a chainsaw instead of a scalpel, I think, is a better opportunity here. But this was their last patch before going live. I think if this was so much of an issue for them, and they perceived it to be so much of an issue in the future, they should have targeted the cards that were offending, not the entire mechanism.
One of the things that you had pointed out was, secrets in your own personal choice. You don't like the secrets.
No, I don't. I think they're reactive. But
at the same time, you're also stating, I support them, I just don't play them, which I think is cool.
Yeah,
just a distinction I think that's worth making.
I'm completely for people who want to play their secrets in whatever manner they want to. As I've said many, many times, I will continue to say, I don't care how you play. I don't care what you play. You could be the worst player. You could be the best player. It's all about how you get your fun. And people like secrets. And you're limiting someone's fun because it's too hard. It's not a good enough reason.
Design choices. They may not have made a good one here.
No, I really don't think they've made a good design choice.
Yeah.
Anyway, off of that rant, I'm allowed to have my rants. Oh, great! Another rant is coming up. I like these show notes.
Another rant for our wonderful, 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 wonderful Dr. Marsh. Yeah. So, one of the things that we've talked about in the past is about the AI and how people learn how to play the game. Now, there has been a recent article that has gone up from Polygon that talks about Hearthstone's AI targeting the intermediate level player. Now, this was mentioned a bit in the patch. As you said, the AI went to Marine Camp. And this is based on Brian Schwab, who is at the Game Developers Conference right now, talking about the choices that they made for the AI. Now, this is if you're playing against the computer. You're not playing Arena. You're not playing Constructed. You're literally just playing. Now, what they said struck me as interesting. What Brian said struck me as interesting, or what I should say. There is this stigma of most card games that they're inaccessible. What is it we try to fix here on this show? The inaccessibility of TCGs.
Oh, okay. That's what we're doing. Well, what am I here for?
To be immortal and be psychic.
No, well, I'm okay with that.
Another thing, what I really started to learn is that advanced players of Hearthstone don't play the game, they play the metagame. What do we talk about here on this show?
Chickens, hammers, eggs,
The
bacon.
metagame and how to get there.
Yeah, that one.
The metagame, he continued, is when the players keep track of the cards in their opponent's deck. I do not fully agree with that definition of a
It's
metagame.
wrong.
I just want you to know. And apparently,
yeah, it's
according
Raid's coming
to...
up, it's alright.
I know. The gloves will come off. What's basically going to happen is I'm going to take my headphones off. I'm going to turn. I'm going to walk away. I'm going to take my cat for a walk. I'm going to come back, put my headphones on, check. Marshall will still be ranting. I'll put my headphones back down. I'll take the dogs. Basically, I'm prepared for a lovely rant.
This is how this works.
Yes, hold on. There is more. But what he says is that intermediate players, not beginners, intermediate players don't play that at all. So implying that the meta players or advanced players are the ones who look at people's decks or, try to figure out what's in the deck and know what their deck's going to be. And then the intermediate players don't seem to care about what's in the deck of the other players. But what they say is that the intermediate players go straight for value. I want to play cards that give me resources in the game. To match the intermediate level, the game's AI was created to hold back cards very rarely. Now, we've had a discussion on the show of when do you play a card, when do you hold a card? And we know that it's situational. We know that it is based entirely upon what you're trying to accomplish. You're not going to throw all your Murlocs down in a Murloc control deck when you don't have a way to protect them. But at the same time, you still need threats down, so you may hold on to some of your Murlocs until the time comes when you can play them and do this huge combo control thing and then almost one turn kill somebody. So we know about this. We've learned these things. Now, based on what I have learned from you, Marsh, I have a small problem with this.
I like it. So I have a large problem with this, so we'll go with your small problem first, and if it's good enough, you can have the gold star.
Okay. So, first off, you and I both agree. I don't agree with the definition of the advanced player.
Agreed.
Because if the advanced player is only about knowing the other person's deck, you really can't unless you're playing the same person over and over and over. And maybe that's what he's implying. Maybe you get so used to the fact that, you always run across me in metagame. Someday, you always run across me in metagame and you're like, oh, Pseudo, she always plays the Murloc one-turn kill deck. I know that's coming because she's currently playing a Warlock. That's pretty much where she's at. She may have changed one or two cards here, but she's used to this, so I know roughly what's going to be in her deck. Or I know what's in her deck because she bloody advertises what she plays. That is one thing. But if that is their definition of the advanced player, knowing the cards in the other person's deck while also wanting value for resources because you can't be advanced if you don't pass through intermediate to start, they're limiting the truth behind what it is, in my opinion. So,
they're not even limiting the truth, they're misrepresenting it entirely. But
the thing is, they want the AI to be accessible. I get this. What I think they should do is have a beginner, advanced, and an intermediate and advanced AI. Really challenge it. Throw that in there. I understand the design implications behind trying to build 3 different systems in an AI system where the cards have certain values, blah, blah, blah. Get that. But that's what they should do. But how do you make the classification of what makes somebody meta?
Yeah. It's so hard to define.
That's just it. I mean, I understand when you go to design something, it makes a difference whether you're designing a boat or you are designing a game. You want to do your best to understand as much of what it is you're going to talk about or what it is you're going to design. Because if you build a boat and put wings on it, you obviously have failed the goal of that particular build unless you're building a boat that flies. in which case you're making an aeroplane that floats.
Fair enough.
You know, it's true.
That can't it be both?
It can't be both.
It could be a boat that flies or an airplane that floats. Airplanes already float. If an airplane, if MH306 landed in the water, is it a plane or is it a boat, Pseudo?
It's a plane that's crashed.
No, it's a float.
Oh, a float.
It's a float.
It's a float. But anyway, my point is I don't like the definition because I don't feel it is concrete enough. I don't know whether, and it's entirely possible that in this particular article, they have sort of taken bits and pieces off. I mean, the actual overview is on the site, and a link will show up in chat for you to actually go watch it. And I highly recommend it because understanding the design choices and why people are making the choices they're making can be very, very beneficial, especially if you want to learn about metagame. Because if you understand how the designers think, you start to understand shifts and trends, not just based on your own experience, but on why a designer thinks the way they think. I don't like the way they defined meta, and I don't necessarily like the way that they've dealt with the AI. So those are my small, tiny, minuscule, inconsequential, mortal problems with what is presented here. Now, again, I repeat, this is only bits and pieces.
Well, that's it. You get a gold star to start with because you got it in roundabout terms. I have more or less the same problems with this. Now, I want to make it clear that I don't fault Blizzard for their AI. The AI they've created is not very good, but I think it's too difficult to create something that plays like a player. I don't think it's either Skynet or nothing. It's Skynet or nothing is what people were asking. What people were asking Blizzard to do is to make Skynet. They want something that can think and act like a player, that can engage with metagame, that can engage with not only what's happening on the board, but what potential cards could be in your opponent's deck, what potential cards you could draw, all that sort of stuff.
If you want that, play Arena or Constructed.
Well, if you want that, play a player.
My point. If you play Arena or Constructed, you're playing a player.
Exactly. So as far as AI goes, it needs to be about teaching players, to be effective players. And that's where a lot of my problems come in, is that design-wise, sure, they've got all the ones and zeros in the right place. It works. And they can have a gold star for that. Blizzard now is on 1 out of 10 gold stars.
Blizzard is going to the zoo. Did they
Blizzard
lose
is
their
indeed
goals?
Going to the zoo. Unfortunately, they lose a gold star because the pedagogy behind their ideas is incrementally flawed after every step. After every step, it gets worse. And I have never encountered a system that does it as bad as Blizzard does. It starts off so well, and then falls into an educational oblivion.
I can't believe you actually brought up pedagogue. That is just crazy.
Pedagogy. Pedagogy, which is the mode.
To me, I call it pedagogue. I'm totally probably pronouncing it absolutely wrong, but yeah.
It's spelled pedagogy. That's how you spell it. Padagy. But it's spelled pedagogy and pronounced pedagogy. Far out. Pedagogy. It's pronounced pedagogy.
Tamagotchi, gotta catch them all.
Basically. So the problem here is they've got their ones and zeros in the right place, but the way they're teaching is flawed. If designers want to teach someone, talk to a damn teacher, please. Because a teacher knows how to teach. It's their job. A designer's job is to design. A teacher's job is to teach. If you want to make a good system that teaches people how to play your game, combine the two. Because your game at this point in time does nothing to help its players actually learn. Everything that they learn is uh, it's associative learning. They learn through practice, like everyone does, but that's the only mean. Your game isn't actually helping; it's hurting. Please stop, because it's detracting.
So, what would you recommend then? I mean, if we're looking at a tutorial process that was developed for Hearthstone by the immortal and omnipotent Dr. Marshmellows, what are they lacking?
Okay, so their intro to Hearthstone, the intro you get right as you start the game,
Mm-hmm.
it's flawed in a lot of places, but as it stands in the big picture, it's good compared to the other way they're trying to educate people. Um, their little pop-up guy. Do you remember the thing that you get right at the start of? You gave me a weird look.
I'm trying to remember. I'm trying to remember the start of the game. It's been so long.
It's the one where it teaches you how to play cards from your hand, and eventually you have to fight Illidan, who's a
Yes.
cheating zombie bleep. Who I crushed like a turn before I was supposed to and broke the game. But yes. Anyway, so in the grand scheme of things, that was actually done. It was done okay. It wasn't done great, but it was done okay. It was done well enough to teach people the basics of the game. If their true intent is to teach people how to traverse that medium between beginner and intermediate, then they need to do some scaffolding. They need to have a set of challenges. Let's call them challenges. I think that'd be a really good idea. Do it the way WildStar does it. Have challenges for your players, which teach them how to do things. Your challenge for the day, you will get 100 gold if you complete your challenge, or you will have the chance to win a pack if you complete your challenge. But your challenge is to do something that will actually help you. So your challenge is to build a mage deck that will beat this AI. Very, very simple in its sense, but you make the AI, have a really bad deck cheat. But it only cheats in a very particular way. Like it draws a bunch of cards. So it teaches people the notion that card draw is important. And this is very don't rage at me because this is very basic off the top of my head stuff.
No.
But
I was going to say
design cheating scenarios where the way that your opponent is cheating is what you're trying to learn. It teaches someone an aspect of card game, not tries to teach them everything in one go, because that just doesn't work.
See, I was going to say, it sounds a little bit like the way Magic 2014, Magic Duel of the Planeswalker, how those card games try to do some of their basic storyline. Because, you start off in one area, you pick up a deck, you've only got one deck available to you, and each thing that you go up against has a certain thematic element to it. For example, Surviving the Storm, the cards were all about thunderstorms, and it was just this repetitive thunderstorm, earthquake, thunderstorm, earthquake. They were throwing cards out that fit the theme, but it was basically teaching you something. I mean, when you go up against the Slivers, you learn a little.
Yeah, it's time to, when you go up against Slivers, you learn that synergy is important and stuff like that.
So they kind of
That's
have that
fine,
built into those. So in a way, what you think, based on what you're saying, what they're really, really missing is, I guess to say kind of what we try to do.
They're missing so many things. They're missing scaffolding to start with. They're missing any discernible difference between players. They're considering players in 3 distinct groups. You're either beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And the other mistake is they're considering that no one can go from beginner straight to advanced. They're also considering that no one can go from advanced back to intermediate. And finally, they're considering that advanced is the most advanced you can get. What is the difference between a person who is ranked 10 on the rank scale and a person who's ranked 1? That is very different forms of advanced.
Well, based on what we were talking about before,
continuum of learning.
Well, see, that's the thing. Based on what we were talking about in the last episode that we did, one of the problems you have with Arena is the fact that the person who's in 1 versus the person who's in 10 may have the exact same play style, but it's just one had the ability to play more games.
Yeah, and while that's still an issue, that's a very different issue to what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is the fact that it is even though they have completely different play styles, or they could have very similar play styles, the person who is in 1 can be a lot better than the person who's in 10.
Hmm.
And it can also be vice versa. But what I'm talking about right now is the fact that if you would take away all the things that are wrong with ranked, and it was actually a rank of skill, and 1 was better than 2, and 2 was better than 3, and so forth and so on. What is the difference between 10 and 1? There's a huge continuum of learning between where you start from and that number 1 ranked person. And the people at Blizzard are predicating that something like this doesn't exist, and that all players can be grouped into beginner, intermediate, or advanced. And I'm afraid life doesn't work like that, and you're taking a cop-out if you think that an AI that simply plays some cards is going to teach your players anything.
Well, one of the things that is worth looking at is, they're trying to cover a lot of people. Maybe this is their way of dealing with the median.
But it doesn't deal with it. That's my point is that this is a solution that solves nothing. It doesn't. You can target the median players as much as you want, but their goal is to transverse intermediate players into the advanced players that deal with those things like ranked and all that. But it doesn't do it. It's a stop-hold method. It's sitting there so that they can get people in that just play against the AI. And as I've said before, there are people that love to do that. But there are also people that are stuck playing the AI because they think if they can't beat the AI, then how are they going to beat a person?
I see where you're coming from. Okay.
So it does nothing to enhance the player's learning. It sits there to either hold players back or gives them a false sense of confidence. It doesn't actually help them learn anything. It's just an artificial roadblock.
Right. I get you. Okay. So basically what we have decided is they have made the choices and the decisions you thought that they were going to make, probably for a good reason, but at the same time, they're still not quite where you feel they should be for a variety of reasons in a couple of other areas, which I think is going to be a fair enough place for us to currently pause on this, because now it's time for the weekly challenge.
Okay.
Now, we missed last week. So we're going to make this coming up week's weekly challenge. With the new changes that have been implemented, aka Nat Pagel and Tinkmaster Overspur getting a little bit of a tweak, build for us Hunter and Paladin decks that you feel are worthy of review. And name them properly. Name them well.
The name does count.
Name counts. And what we will end up doing is tackling the decks that you guys sent in next week. Yes. So, this isn't going to make you stop playing Hearthstone.
Oh, no. I'm way past having to deal with the AI anyway, but
you're being conscientious
I care about
of
the people
others.
that come in. Yes.
Dr.
It doesn't happen
cares.
often. Bask in the glow of it.
I'm excited. But yes, so we'll be dealing with Hunter decks next week. In specific, we'll be talking about the Hunter. Also, if you are interested in getting into a match that will be recorded and played during one of our shows, email me, voice@MMOBuff.TV. Now, normally, I say back to the future version of myself, but today, I am basically just going to say the future version of myself is probably out cold in bed asleep. I'm actually here.
That or in a caffeine-induced stupor.
Caffeine-induced stupor, yeah. I will be around, but I am going to just let the show fade into this.